Hello out there, Graham fam. My name is Jordan Person, and I'm our staff nurse. Today, I have with me the amazing Holly Bell. She is the Director of Cannabis for the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Today, we're going to learn about where the medical cannabis program is for the state of Florida, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new requirements that the state of Florida has for the medical cannabis program. Holly, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
You're welcome, Jordan. Thanks for asking me. And what a great introduction. That makes my day start off great. So thanks.
So Holly, can you please tell us a little bit about, I've heard that there are some new regulations surrounding the medical cannabis, specifically regarding third-party testing. Is that something you can tell us a little bit more about?
Yeah, sure. So here in the state of Florida, our program's been around about 4 years. And I am the Director of Cannabis for the state of Florida with the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. My 90% of my job is spent overseeing a hemp program, but I do assist Department of Health, who is in charge of the medical marijuana program here through the Office of Medical Marijuana Use, OMMU, and I help them with edibles and other consumer related topics when it comes to the program, because we do have consumer services in our department. So some really great news is when these licensees originally filled out their applications, they told the department how they would test and what they would test and what they would report. And so the department never got rules done in the 4 years. So they have been rapidly issuing emergency rules over the last few months to get rules in place for the program. One of them that they dropped, we call it in Florida, it was in June, and it was for testing. And so no longer do they go by what they put in their application originally, but now there's a standard. There's a list they're all needing to test against. And that is actually published out very publicly. And so they're getting a full panel of testing for these products. And they're done by a uniform set of labs that have applied to the OMMU and gotten a certification or approval to be one of the official testing labs. So not only do we have now standards in place for how it should be tested, what it's tested for, but we have a uniform group of labs testing it. So we know where our results are coming from. What this is going to ensure, and what the commissioner that I work for, Commissioner Freed, has wanted all along, is to protect the patient. Our goal is to have a better experience, a better medicine for the patients. That's really important, because a lot of these patients that come into this program are immune compromised or not in great health. And so they are at-risk patients, and we want to protect them. So we're very happy about these emergency rules on testing.
That's fantastic. The nurse in me thrives to hear people in your position talk about the need for clean medicine for patients. It's so incredibly important. And I feel like many markets, when they first begin, they aren't so reliant upon testing. And as the programs continue to develop, they realize the actual importance. Mold can make us so sick. All of the other various contaminants can make people so sick. As you mentioned, so many people in the program are already immune compromised. So kudos to the state of Florida for creating these emergency rules. That's fantastic, and starting to protect patients. Do you, out of all of the testing that was done, do you notice a common theme? Do you notice that there was more mold than any other contaminant? Just thinking out loud, because Florida is such a humid state.
Mm-hmm. So I have not been, because I'm not over that program, I have not received the actual results, so I couldn't articulate that. Okay. But I will tell you, I do talk to the growers, the owners. I know what their problems are out there, and especially because we are the ag department and have Department of Plant Industry under us, who helps with pests, diseases in plants. We do know that the mold is an issue here in Florida. We see it in the hemp program as well. And we have a few pests, that some mites and aphids that are a problem also. And we see that, but we are very restrictive here in Florida as to what can be used. It is a very natural based system. So that is safe for the patients, and we feel strongly about that. Um, I do see, or I've heard some rumblings in the industry that we do have a high rate of not passing on this initial testing round. So we'll probably know in the next couple weeks that'll come out public where we are on that. But the good news on that is they're testing. And if it's not passing, it means it's working, that we are finding what we need to find and we're correcting the problem. We've actually stumbled across that in our hemp program where we randomly go out and pull tinctures and products off the shelf and test it in our state lab that can test for hemp. And we did find an alarming rate of lead in several tinctures here in Florida at a toxic waste level. So we have done some extensive work and tried to partner with the FDA and EPA to help correct that. We, of course, pulled those products off the shelf, but we are also helping the industry understand how to correct that and doing a lot of education and research for that. So it's a new industry and we're all learning as we go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's still in its infancy stages throughout the nation, not just Florida. So I think you guys are doing a great job just by, and this year, this calendar year, the new laws that you've come up with, the new regulations, these emergency rules are only going to protect patients. And it's going to be a scary, rough time in the beginning when people might see how many people actually did fail tests. I know that was a big shocker here in Denver, Colorado, when it first happened. They were going around in hazmat suits with gigantic mulchers that they would park in front of dispensaries. And these guys in suits would just destroy entire plants at a time. And it was a frightening experience to see. You would just be driving down, any road in Denver and you'd be like, whoa, that place just got in a lot of trouble. Yeah. So, again, without the need for testing, people just kind of have not the need, but the ability to do what they want. And so yay for regulations.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you have a specific list of pesticides that are allowed to be used or outlawed for the farmers there. And that's fantastic. We are actually going to publish that list. So thank you for sending that over. I feel that that's such important information. It's one of those things that people don't think a lot about. If you use a specific pesticide on a tomato and you know that it's food safe and food friendly, that's fantastic. That would be great for an edible. But do we know beyond people's opinion that that same pesticide can be heated up or mixed with a solvent and turned into hash or turned into some other product? These are the things that we don't know. So thank you again for creating this list. Let's talk a little bit about edibles. I remember you saying that there are also emergency rules that have been developed to help people understand how to roll out the edibles section.
So last Wednesday, the Office Department of Health, OMMU, dropped their about 5:36 in the evening, dropped their edibles rule. So in the state, since there is a kitchen that makes edibles, the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services is involved in that process because the Food Safety Division is in our department. So we had a set of rules for edibles and Department of Health, OMMU, had a set of rules. We finished ours and adopted ours fully in March of 2020 and started issuing permits for kitchens to make edibles. So at the time last week that the Department of Health got their rules done, we had approved 4 kitchens for licensees here in the state of Florida to start on their edibles. And then now the Department of Health has their side done, which oversees how the edibles should look, what they should have in them, what the packaging should be, those kinds of things. Now they can start, the licensees can start applying to get their products approved so that they can start selling them into the dispensaries here in Florida. In talking to several of the licensees directly, what I found was we're probably looking at 2 months before they actually have products in the stores for patients to buy. That again has been a priority for our commissioner, and she has been sounding the alarm for that and pushing it, trying to get it out, because several patients, that is the best alternative for them to get their medicine. And it's, 4 years they've been waiting for this. So we're very excited about that, and we're very happy that this is moving forward.
Absolutely. I am one of those patients. Edibles are one of the only things that actually make me sleep. And also take away true pain. It's just the best way of absorption for me, for sure. Can you speak to your milligram limits? Is there a limit per candy bar or per bag that they can buy at a time?
They have put that in for individual serving, and I don't have that pulled up right now. And an entire like candy bar can't exceed a certain amount. So yes, they've put very specific perimeters on that. They've also put very specific language on what it can look like. It can't look like a commercial candy or treat, so it would be attractive to a young person. And colors, packaging, all of that. We've meant to leave it very kind of almost generic, I would say, so that it's not an attractive thing for a young person.
Absolutely. That was a problem we had to learn the hard way from in Colorado. There were gummy bears and there were all types of candies that were absolutely appealing to children in bright, fancy colors and the flavors. And that was an emergency rule that they had to pull everything off the shelves. And so great job on coming out of the gate with that type of ruling, because then you don't have to go backwards later. And for the listeners out there, I will put into the written article that we are doing on Holly Bell what those parameters are for edibles, so that you have that more of that information. Holly, what else is happening in the cannabis program right now? You did mention that you guys were just doing a bunch of testing regarding those CBD products that tested high for lead. Was it hemp CBD that had been grown in Florida specifically?
So it was not. And because we have not really had our first crop here in Florida, we just started issuing hemp permits to cultivate or grow on April 27th.
Oh,
And so these were products that were manufactured in other states, and or the biomass was brought into Florida to produce. And Jordan, what we really found was the product was tested before it went into the bottle, and it was clean. It sat in a bottle for an undetermined amount of time in undetermined conditions. When we pulled it off the shelf, it was contaminated. So we've determined that it's being contaminated in the bottle. So we've traced it. We've now ordered a bunch of bottles. We're doing testing on bottles and droppers. And what we're tending to find is packaging that has lead in it, and it's leaching into the product over time, we feel. We're not done with our total testing, so we don't know, but we really feel that's where it's going. In our head of food safety, who's been heading up this initiative, and he's very good at what he does, has his PhD in chemistry and has run labs, but he likens it to what the food industry went through years ago, learning how to have safe, healthy packaging for consumers. So that's why we're trying to educate the industry and collaborate and work with them to bring the standard up so that everybody can be protected.
fantastic. All right. Do you know if they were plastic bottles?
They're glass, and the stoppers tend to have paint on them, we feel, that might have lead in them. And so I just know personally what I'm doing after seeing that is if I do take over the counter CBD, I get a bottle that I use a syringe, like I would take any cough drop or something like that. And that's what I use.
Okay. That's very smart to protect yourself in the meantime until you have a better idea of what's happening. And again, thank you for doing your due diligence to protect the medical cannabis patients in the state of Florida. CBD is sold everywhere right now. I mean, let's be honest, we can find it at every gas station and grocery store and everywhere else. And people now have access to this plant because they want it. They know, they hear what it can do for them. And so to think that there's an entire group of tinctures that are possibly going to make people very sick with lead poisoning. That's a scary, it's a scary thought. So thank you again for doing what you can. Let's see what else. Anything else you would like to add about your position or about the program at large?
I love my position, and there was a lot of funny banter when the commissioner offered me the position and I accepted it, and I came down to Florida, and I'm not probably the image of what everybody thought the position was going to be. I'm 58. I have a daughter who's 30, and typically not a cannabis user extensively. I do use it to help me sleep a little bit now, and manage my blood pressure. It helps me that way because it reduces my anxiety. And so I thoroughly enjoy what I do. One of the reasons I love it so much is this industry is changing so rapidly. Every day you come in, you can find something new. And when you get to go out and read the science behind this, that's being researched out of the United States, because we can't research it here yet, but we're getting there. It is fascinating to see what they're finding. And they have 40, 50 years of research we can go out and look at. And the more exciting piece as I get into this and I really see the potential, is for the fiber side of hemp, which doesn't have anything to do with patients, but it might. Think about looking around in the room you're sitting in. Everything you're looking at could probably be made from hemp. And we could cut out polyester. One of the biggest things in our landfills we're having a problem with that's clogging them up are clothes, because they're made from polyester, petroleum based. They don't biodegrade. What do we do with them? What if we had hemp clothes? Cotton and hemp, those are both natural fibers. What if the paper we're using is out of hemp? What if we're making carpets and draperies and paint and drywall out of hemp? That excites me, because that can help our environment, and that does help us as patients who get sick, because a lot of times some of it can be environmental. So I think long term, when I look back and I want to do something positive every day for people, that's what excites me, that I got this job and I get to do that, not only with the medical program here, but with hemp, and environmentally, how friendly it is and how much it's going to make some positive changes, which we need. We all need positive change.
Absolutely. You gave me goosebumps twice in that little piece there. I love everything that you just said. I teach my class Cannabis Massage 101, and I teach my students that we could do everything with hemp.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything. It's a biofuel. It's everything. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for spending your free time researching and learning more about this agricultural phenomenon that the state of Florida is choosing to look at as such, whereas so many other states are putting it under the Treasury Department, or they're putting it under some form of banking or whatever. Florida's doing it different. And so I can't wait to see what's to come of the program there. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. Holly, thank you from the bottom of my heart and from everyone at Graham. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thanks for all you guys are doing. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely. I hope we can have you on again someday soon.
I would love to, anytime.
Fantastic. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Okay. You're welcome.